Okay, welcome back, everyone. Let's go to sleep. Is this that place from yesterday? Hour 2, the Manor of Sleep. There is something on the floor where Yoshino Takigawa was crouching yesterday. It looks like an old key, red with rust. A 4-point well pattern has been carved into the handle. Okay. Well, we gotta find the door with that pattern on it. Yoshino! Sometimes what's awful about fighting her is that her shadows that represent her dead family members are with her. I meant to turn up the brightness on this, I didn't do it. But I think the game is particularly dark right here. There we go. I heard something.
Not enough. We need another sacrifice. Let this princess never awaken from her dream for all eternity.
I think I remember where the key is.
Not enough.
This is what I hate about having a dark screen. Crap. Crap, I missed it. Ah, yes. Climb each and every step. I love that. It's my favorite. Okay, we can't go through there yet. Maybe there is something up here. Sorry if you can hear my controller. It's because I'm sitting on my couch. My microphone is on the coffee table. And so the controller's really close to the mic than usual. There are boxes and baskets lined up along a big shelf. Everything inside has rotted away from the damp and is giving off a foul stench. The door is locked. The keyhole is engraved with a 4-point well design. He opened the lock with the 4-point well key. Now we can go through. Oh, it faded. What the? Oh. Ooh, this always creeps me out. An image of something has been caught on the photo. So, if I can get this right, you can see that it is in fact part of a mummy sticking out of the wall. Oh, there's that item we saw earlier. There's something on the ground. Herbal medicine. It's rather tight down here. The passage gets even smaller up ahead. I can feel wind flowing from the smaller end of the passage. I wonder where it leads to. It looks so narrow, only a child or a small woman would be able to get through. You could probably do it, but you'd have to, like, army crawl. Oh, spooky. Sorry if you can hear that little chime in the background. The worst thing is, like, at about 10:30 and at night, there are bosozoku that drive through this neighborhood. A whole group of them. Bosozoku are basically I think it translates to speed tribe. It's basically motorcycle gangs. And they just love to cause noise. Okay, there's another door here. There it is.
I remember now. I remember this place.
Yeah, this was in our dream. An image of something has been caught on the photo. It's not every night at 10:30, but it happens way too flippin' often. Oh, she's pretty. Save for the fact that she's creepy as hell. We'll see more of her later. Okay, sometimes there's stuff behind these. There's an ancient, sturdy-looking lock on the door. There is an image of two mandarins carved on the lock. In the daydream, you was in here. But we can't get in. Too eager. Too eager to be rid of you. Ooh, ooh. Oh, there's two. Forgot about it. There are two of you. Oh man, the ghosts are great in this. I love it. I just love their animation. It's so good. I haven't played. The animation was pretty good in. I haven't played 4 in a while, but it was pretty good in 5 too. But sometimes they cared about certain parts being more animated than others. I have to say, it was not very. You know, there's a time and a place for that, and it's not when you're trying to scare me. And you could be a little more accurate. I don't know. It really... I was not happy with that. They toned it down in the US version. I noticed. Because, like, Yuri's was, like, bouncing whenever I opened the door. And there was the DLC costume. Not the hidden costume, not DLC. Controversy. But it was a controversy in Japan too. A lot of like people like choose to ignore that. I noticed. What, so it's okay in Japan but not in America or Europe or in the West? I'm like, it wasn't okay in Japan. A lot of people were very angry about that. It's just that there isn't a dialogue going on in Japanese media the same way that's going on in Western media. There is something on the ground where the man in white was. Carved in relief into a lithographed stone the size of my palm is a horizontal line like the character for one. There is a raised bump on the back of the stone, maybe for fitting it into something. Men in white, not men in black. The man who appeared in the black-stained corridor wearing ragged white robes and tall court hats. Was it their voices I heard through the corridor walls moaning? What was happening to them in there? I don't want to go into it too much. Let's just focus on about my little personal issues with 5, the 5th game in the series. It was the weakest in the series, in my opinion. Mainly the story I had issues with, because I feel like Miyu's story could have been another game all on its own. I feel like she really did not contribute much of anything to it, except to let us know what happened to Miku, and I'm not happy about that. With how that progressed. So. And then I think a white-haired girl, I can't remember her name, Shiragiku. Apparently they used abandoned storylines and put them in the 5th game, and I'm assuming Shiragiku was one of those that was going to be in another game, but they ended up removing it. And it probably, maybe you should maybe there's a reason why some things didn't work in other games that you maybe shouldn't include in games, because I don't understand Shiragiku's purpose at all in that story. It made zero sense. And honestly, if you can remove it and things are not changed, then you can do without it. I can see a door on the other side of the roof. If I were to walk across the roof, this is very dangerous. Especially since it's snowing. There could be ice, you'd slip, break your neck. I know it's a dream, but if you die in this dream, you die in life, so. Is it worth it? And same with Miyu's story. I feel like Miyu's story could have been her own game. And I think that, because I mentioned it because there's parallels with this game and the fifth game, is, you know, the moments where you're back at the house, Hisoka's shop, and then you wake up into the real world. Something is reflecting light on the floor. A two mandarins pattern has been carved into the old key. I have found a part for the camera obscura. You have acquired equipped function evade. Addition of escape. When you're caught by a ghost, if your timing pressing the shoot button is good, you can evade the attack. Like right now? They were considering having this game be remade for the Wii, but they chose the second one instead. Who knows if they will remake this or not. I think that if they were to remake this, they would have to remake the first one. Just because this one relies on having... I played this before I played the first one initially. A disused old sliding door panel has been leaned up against the wall. What do we do? There is a joint in the floorboards, but it's held fast by something. I can't get it open. Maybe it leads to another floor downstairs. Okay, that room that we peeked in earlier, when we first entered the mansion, the Manor of Sleep, we peeked in and we saw the girl hammering. That's where that leads. We're right above it. Okay, but to go back on what I was talking about earlier, I did play this game before I played the first Fatal Frame. But I want to say this was back in the early days of YouTube, so I was able to look up on what happened in Fatal Frame, or just read up online. So I was vaguely familiar with it, but not entirely. But I think it would be a good idea if you want to remake this for a whole new audience on the Wii. It would be a good idea to remake the first Fatal Frame, in my opinion. And I think that one, could really benefit from having an update. Especially now that, Miku's been introduced with Maiden of Black Water. So that those who had never played the Fatal Frame games before, but who did play Maiden of Black Water, can become familiar with her character. was looking at the official ages, and there's no way Hisoka and Ren are 23. There's just no possible way. They seem far older than that, but I mean, in design, like she would be late 20s. Both of them would have to be later 20s than 23. Maybe 27 I could buy. But it's like there's this need to have them be young. And Mia is 17 in that game, and Yuri is 19. They're both minors. Rui, I believe, is the same age as Miyu. Rui is also underage. From what I can't remember if it's 19 or 17, but she's also underage. There's an ancient sturdy looking lock on the door. Okay, yeah, I read that already. So we unlocked it with the 2 mandarins key. It's the same courtyard and tomb from that daydream. And the dream, you was inside. There's old film in the camera obscura. You got musty film. The manner of sleep. Inside the house was a courtyard. It was snowing. There was a line of graves and an even older house looming up behind. I don't know, there just seems to be this constant need of having to go back to what I was saying about Ren and Hisoka. Like there's this desire to have characters that are young in Japanese games where it's like you can have them be a little older. I mean, 40's the new 30. To be perfectly honest. Because I feel like making those two characters 23 is really just kind of... Even Yuri seems a little older than 19 in my opinion, but I can at least buy her being 19. More than...
Yes, Kurosawa speaking.
Ray, it's Miku. Good morning. I gathered together all the information I got from the editor about the woman yesterday. I wanted you to see it. It's laying on the desk in my room, so please go take a look at it if you like. I've gotten a little worried about all this. There's one other thing I want to check out. I'll be back after I finish.
I understand. Thanks.
But I don't want this to be... this video to be fully negative things of the 5th game. I did like... I mean, I think some of the ghosts were really creepy. You all know I do not like the tall ghost, the tall woman, as she's officially called. I wish I got that the falling ghost I kind of like too. I wish I got her fatal glance. I loved the fatal glance concept. That's really great, and I'd love to see that again. Use altar. You. I think that's one of the best things, was the fatal glance. And if they could maybe incorporate... I mentioned earlier how there's a game about finding the ghost's voice through the static. And like you're listening to this tape and you're rewinding, you're like playing it backwards, playing it forwards, speeding it up, slowing it down, trying to capture those voices. They could like have a concept... I don't know if that's kind of like... Well, you know, Dreadout, they pretty much... There's a game, Dreadout, that pretty much copies Fatal Frame's shtick. Why not have them copy Silvio's shtick? Or embellish on that with like the crystal stones, kind of have that concept. This looks like the grave mound in the courtyard by the stairwell. Maybe I can learn something from this photo. An old roll of film from the camera obscura. Is there anything on it, I wonder? So I think if they worked more on the fatal glance, that could be something. And also try to try to recapture the magic of the older games, the PlayStation era games at least. Black human-shaped stains mark the walls of a narrow corridor. Maybe I can find something out about this. Even the fourth game was pretty good. But I feel like the story was a little... Although that also was kind of like co-written with Suda 5-1. And a lot of his games have that, they just kind of fall apart at the end. And I felt like that was somewhat the case, because it just got a little confusing. But that could be because it was a fan-translated action. I was fan-translated patch I was playing it on. It could be a translation error. Or up to them. Like I don't know. It like just the disease behind this, the disease behind what a lot of people were suffering on that island just didn't make it, just was rather kind of confusing, I think. This is Miku's room. I don't really like coming in here while she's out, but she said you could go in. Hey, Rudy. I'm just gonna stare at you. You see this doll here? As it goes, you'll notice the hair of this doll. The doll of this hair will grow longer as the night goes on. Not as the night goes on, but as the nights go on. Miku always keeps her desk so neatly arranged. There is a pile of reference materials and Miku's notes on the desk. She said she had put them together for me. The woman in the photograph, name Yoshino Takigawa, 26. See, we can get a little older. She was the only survivor of a plane crash that occurred in August. Following is a comment from a reporter named Ozawa who covered it. When the plane crashed, Miss Takigawa was thrown out of the aircraft and was mostly untouched by the fire. Also, the arbor where she was thrown became a cushion, and she was thus miraculously saved. When rescued, her external injuries were mild burns, bruises, and scrapes, and it was determined that there was no threat to her life. But as it took 4 days to find her, she was very dehydrated, weak, and distressed. And she seemed to be suffering mentally. Can't blame her, but wow, very few injuries. During those 4 days, she was surrounded by other victims, her relatives, and her lovers' corpses. Yeah. Next is what I heard from someone at hospital admissions. After hospitalization, she was extremely frightened of being alone or sleeping. She apparently had frightening dreams and would even hurt herself to stay awake. But over time, the amount she slept grew longer, until she spent most of the day sleeping. At first, it was thought she was sleeping due to the psychological trauma she experienced, but her condition gradually grew worse and she would sleep for 3 days straight. When she woke, she would complain of hallucinations, saying, "Pain," or "There are bruises all over my body." As her hallucinations grew worse, she became less responsive to outside stimulus during her waking hours, and would sometimes mutter deliriously or sing lullabies. The past several days she hasn't woken, and the rest is as Ray saw. This is also just a hospital rumor, but the staff has a long-standing urban legend amongst themselves about patients like Takigawa, or who they call lost patients. Placed between the pages of Miku's notebook is a copy of a newspaper cutting with today's date written on it. Patient disappears. On the night of the 9th, a patient disappeared from her ward in Katsuragi Hospital, and the police are currently searching for her. The missing person is the sole survivor of the August plane crash, Yoshino Takigawa, 26. Miss Takigawa became emotionally unstable after the accident. She was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and hospitalized long-term. The hospital's response to her disappearance went no further than, "We are investigating the details." Miss Takigawa lost all her family in the accident, and concerns have been raised about her current whereabouts. That picture stand on the desk has been laid flat. Is this a photo of Miku? Miku with man. The photo shows Miku with a kind-looking young man. A boyfriend? No, more likely brother and sister. Oh, how little known correct you were. On both counts. She's always been cheerful enough, but I don't think I've ever seen her look quite this contented. I heard she had lost a family member. Could this person in the picture be? The girl who works as my assistant. She's the sister of Yu's best friend. I heard she lost a relative. The photo on her desk showed her with a young man who looked like her brother. She's always been a cheerful person, but I haven't often seen her smile as happily as in that picture. I wonder if the person she lost was someone she was very close to. Maybe she lost someone special, just like me. The narrow corridor on the other side of the door where I heard the moaning was strung with sacred rope and paper. The walls were covered with human-shaped stains. There was a black stain left behind when Yoshino Takigawa vanished. Did something happen on those walls as well? According to Miku's research, Yoshino Takigawa was asleep almost all the time just before she disappeared. After the accident, she slept longer and longer hours, and whenever she woke up, she would hum what sounded like a lullaby. Apparently, the medical community is abuzz with rumors of similar occurrences, hospital patients who disappeared. Is this another of those urban legends?
Having trouble sleeping? Do you need to sleep in here with me? It seems like you're having a lot of nightmares lately. Are you all right? What can I do for you?
Miku, I was wondering if you could research this photograph for me. Thanks. Miku, I was wondering if you could research this photograph for me. Thanks.
Understood. I'll let you know if I find anything.
Okay. Alright, so that is enough for today. Sorry about this mostly being me talking about Fatal Frame 5, but I feel like this game and that game are very similar. Not only just because, death is involved in both games, although albeit very differently. I feel like this one's a lot more better at handling it. But also just the parallels of there's these moments of where you're going back of just breather moments that slowly become less safe, like, because the real world, it's considered safer, but as we are now seeing, there are ghosts appearing in her home, so it's not as safe as it once was, and that sort of happens in the 5th game as well. So it's just a lot of parallels. I feel like that's going on between those 2 games, and that's why I brought it up. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more Fatal Frame 3, do please subscribe. I won't be talking much about the other games. I just felt like talking about it. Alright, see you.